Not every negotiation has to be the most important negotiation. Not every negotiation do you have to try to win or maximize. Remember, we talked about in our class, sometimes you need to improve the relationship. Sometimes you need to maybe sacrifice and help another group, help another company, cooperate, and maybe you will lose money, but it will lose a little bit of money, and then later you can make more money. One way to do this is to send flex points. And so if you push the button, send flex points, you can see here you can send to a group, and then how many points, and you can include a message. This is just like giving resources or giving money to another group. Now, of course, it's not really money, but it's very close to money, so some kind of resource. Why would you do this? Maybe you have extra. Maybe you're not going to play to win. Maybe you're playing to maybe not lose too badly, but you know you're going to lose your negotiation this time, but you can help another group. Well, if that's true, then maybe that will help your relationship in the future. Maybe you have a group you often cooperate with. Is cooperation okay in this game? Yes. Cooperation is okay. You can work together. You can form alliances. You can tell a group you're their friend, and then later you can not be their friend. So you can basically tell a lie. That's pretty normal in business. Or you can try to tell the truth, and then other companies will maybe trust you. Or maybe you don't want trust, or maybe you want to trick them somehow. Well, that's okay too. In this game, like I said, there is no way to cheat. There is no cheating in this game. There is none. You can do anything you want, just like the real business world. Of course, you cannot break the law. Like in this game, if you make a deal, you have to finish the deal. You cannot make a deal and then not pay. That doesn't work. But you can make alliances. You can work together. And one way to do that is maybe to send some flex points. Or you could ask a group, if you want to finalize a deal, maybe they should send you some extra flex points as part of the deal. Just a very quick reminder, what do flex points do? Flex points will help increase your score, remember? And it will help you to get a higher score than you would without more flex points. So if your score is already very high, maybe you could give some away. Or if you want to make a deal that's a hard deal, maybe you can ask for them. That's all okay. Flex points is a great way to get more flexibility in the game, make alliances, make friends, and sometimes get a little bit of an edge to help your group do better.